All right, and here we are. This is the Working Title Show with Zach Sams, and we are back. All right, here we are. This is the Working Title Show with Zach Sams. We are back. It is a beautiful day. I am so excited about today's show, and more importantly, it is Masters Week. And so I don't know if there's a better week of the year, at least not for me, there is. But even better than that, we have great guests today. Actually, back on the show, Greg Johnson with what is now SVN Verus Commercial. Before the SVN wasn't there before, you're going to have to tell us about that. And why don't you introduce your two awesome team members you brought along with us?
Sure. Well, Zach, thanks for having me back. I can't believe you actually had me back after my performance the last time.
But the producer said to give you one more shot.
It was pre-COVID. It's a new year, new me, new decade. So I brought with me today two of our guys. We have a great team up there in Denton County. Chris Smith. Chris handles a lot of retail, a lot of leasing, investment sales, but he's kind of all things retail.
Yep.
And Hayden Houston is the newest addition to our team.
All right, congratulations.
Probably a year ago or so, but he's been in the business for quite a while. He's a lot older than he looks. But Hayden does a lot of large land deals, single-family development, multifamily development. That's
awesome.
The world he lives in.
Oh, very good, very good. Well, before we get to that, who are y'all picking for the Masters this week? This will air next week, so we'll know if you were right or not.
I'm taking Scotty.
Scotty.
It's the easy
safe
pick.
That's
it's
a
the
safe
easy pick.
Who's your dark horse?
My dark horse, Wyndham Clark.
Wyndham Clark. All right.
Even though it's not too dark, but I'm taking Wyndham.
That's kind of dark. A little bit.
All right.
He's not on the top. He's not on the top of this.
He's on the top of the top, but
Gregor?
Not a popular pick, probably.
Angel Cabrera?
Definitely not. The old guy that won it in 1957 who can play two holes, that still takes up a spot. I don't understand how that works, but I'm picking Rory, actually.
Yeah, this could be his year.
Could be his year, and I'm not that I'm a huge Rory fan, or because he really messed up on the hole. I'm staying on a live deal.
Yeah.
And then I would say my dark horse, probably, oh gosh. You'll know the name. Fantastic iron player, won the PGA.
Morikawa? Yeah.
Putting falls apart and fails him at the end, but he would be a dark horse because he hits it so straight, and if he can putt well.
He's playing pretty good right now. Hayden, do you have a pick?
I don't really do golf. I know, weird for this industry, but...
Yeah, well...
I know.
Somebody's got to stay at the office and get things done.
Exactly, someone's got to actually work around here.
hey, why don't you tell him what you watch at the office?
Me? Oh, I watch everything.
What he watches?
What do you watch at the office?
What he watches at the office?
Well, my background before real estate was esports, so electronic gaming, so I still keep in touch with a lot of the professional scene.
Now, esports, is that like you're playing Madden against somebody in like a stadium? Is that an esport?
No, that would be awesome, but no, not really. Sports really aren't. It's so funny. Sports really aren't with these.
It's not really actually sports. They just call it that.
No, it's just video games.
Is this like where you go in and play the zombie killing game in like one of those big rooms that you walk around in, like VR?
No, nothing like that. More like a bunch of 10 nerds playing a game against each other. So
that like from your home, basically.
Yeah, I mean the big stadium, like for example, they played in when the Korea had World Cup. They built all these massive stadiums, and they just played a tournament there. I think there was like 102,000 people there.
102,000 people
watching video games
in Korea, or
in Korea, yeah.
Okay.
So here in America, you probably get 50, 60. Some of the biggest conventions have like up to 200. But
seriously,
yeah, I'll still stay in the competitive scene. I'll still watch things.
No kidding. I mean, my kids will watch video games on YouTube, which just blows my mind. I don't know how anybody could do that. That sounds so boring. But
that's what he thinks about golf.
That's putting it on steroids. Yeah, 100,000 people watching a video game.
Well, that's attending. So the most popular video game in esports is actually more popular than the NBA Finals.
Which game is that?
It's a game called League of Legends.
Legends?
Yeah, League of Legends.
League of Legends. Do you know about this?
Well, really, that's the nickname for our office.
League of Legends?
Yeah. But this guy had a whole crazy life and career and made a ton of money in that world before he got in real estate. So
No kidding.
I only hire guys that have already made a fortune, so they don't really need to make one with me.
So
I
I can lose
most
money.
of it.
Yeah.
It's a great deal.
Yeah, I like it. I like That's funny. So is there real estate around this stuff, around these esports things? I mean,
There should be.
it sounds like there is somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's just finding the model, right? You know, you've got golf courses, you've got basketball facilities. There's definitely money in it, but the biggest problem is like on all these video games, it's all intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
So like no one owns the intellectual property for basketball, for golf. Anyone can do it. But when you talk about games, it's all around what company has it, and if they don't want to play at your facility, they don't have to. So you don't see a lot of these games being played in other states. A lot of them are in California, because the people that own the games don't want them to go play in other places, even though there's a huge market for it.
That sounds odd.
I mean, it all comes down to who owns the rights to actually do things.
Interesting. So totally different than like this golf thing where they're playing. Have you seen, what do they call that? PGL? TGL?
TGL.
Yeah, where they're all playing in the stadium and
Right.
That's have y'all watched that?
Yeah.
Pretty
Oh,
cool.
yeah,
Like
it's
Rory,
cool.
Rory plays for Boston, and then
Yeah.
Tommy Fleetwood, and
Yeah.
it's awesome.
It's kind of like Live, sort of, but on launch monitors,
Right.
simulators.
Yeah.
Huh. I'm changing my pick, by the way. I'm taking Bryson.
It's too late.
It's too late. No,
Yeah.
it's never too late. I'm taking
Who are you
Shambo.
changing Bryson for? Which one? Scotty or your
Scotty.
dark horse?
Taking Scotty out,
And putting Bryson in.
putting Bryson in.
Oh, God, this is a Dallas show. You know Scotty's from Dallas.
Well, so is Bryson not?
Yeah, he's from Dallas too, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
He's from California.
He may. He's changed his ways.
It's the SMU factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a Dallas boy. too.
He's really popular now. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. My son loves him. He can't stop watching him. All right, well that's interesting. So esports, and you did that in Utah.
Yeah, I did that in Utah for 4 years. So,
Okay. Well, how'd you find your way to Verus?
oh man, that's an interesting story. So I actually worked for SVN originally up in Utah. I've been working for about 6 years.
Oh, you're an SVN guy before.
Correct.
Well,
Yeah.
this will lead into how SVN happened, but let's go ahead and.
Well, it's a funny story, and maybe Greg should tell it how I found it. But
Go ahead.
I found Greg before they were supposed to have announced SVN Verus. I got an internal email with SVN. I was thinking about moving down here. All my family's here, and I got an internal email that said, "Hey, we're welcoming a new Denton shop." And so I looked into it, reached out to, SVN, and they gave me Greg's information.
Yeah.
And I called Greg up. I said, "Hey, I'm moving to Dallas because of family. Really want to stay with the SVN brand. There's a few offices here. Like, love to meet with you." And he's like, "That wasn't supposed to happen. We weren't even supposed to announce them yet."
He just started this thing, and you're already getting people calling wanting to transfer in. That had to be a thumbs up moment.
We worked on it for probably 9 months.
Yeah.
And then finally decided, yeah, we're going to do this. So I signed the agreement. 4 months later, we're going to go public, right? We're going to launch.
Yeah.
Because you got to do all this conversion stuff and internal training and all the stuff.
Yeah.
And by the way, tell our entire team, because I'd met with the key guys to talk about this and why I thought it made sense and all that, and wanted them. And I flew them out to a meeting and had them meet people. And because I really wanted everybody to agree that this is something that we should do.
Right.
And so finally signed the deal. The next morning is when he called me. So like all of our own employees don't even know this yet. And I said, "Okay, how did you find me?" He said, "You're on the website." Excuse me? He's like, "Yeah, pull it up."
Ink wasn't even dry.
And I literally pulled it up, and there's the star right there, Denton, Texas. And I called the guy that I was dealing with, and he was like, "What?"
Well, that sounds like SVN's on the ball.
I said, "Man, I'll tell you what, your marketing
Good
people
start.
are all over it.
Yeah.
But we're going to need to get that down because we're announcing this in March, not December."
Well, let's back up a little bit, because when you were on the show last time, it was Verus Commercial, Verus Advisors out of Denton, and you were wildly successful. You couldn't drive anywhere and not see, your signs all over the place. And so why make a switch when it seems like everything was working really, really well? What drove you to this decision?
So good question. And didn't take it lightly. This is my 22nd year. And so after celebrating 20 years the thing that was just kind of hanging over my head was, and I've got just blessed with a culture of just quality people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it truly, like, we hang out outside of work. Our wives know each other. Our kids, you know, want to do things together. It's that kind of place, and you know that. And
Yeah.
and the thing that was bothering me was, you know, I'm older. I'm way older than all of them, and I'm not going to ever retire. But as this technology was moving, and it was moving away from me, I started thinking about the tools that really, you know, for all these guys to be as successful as they can possibly be.
Right.
There's tools that I think they need that I don't even know what they are. Like, I don't even know what exists out there, technology wise and so on. And I had gone on this quest a couple years ago of, I probably bought 5 different types of software because I watched the demo and I talked to the guy and like, oh, this is going to change the world for us. $7,000 later, nobody uses it because it's a piece of crap.
Right.
I don't know what I'm looking at. And so but
they did a good presentation.
Fantastic.
Easy to sell a sales guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This guy's 56. He has no clue. Watch how fast I can click. So it was kind of that was happening. And at the same time, Brad Kendall, who you've met, Brad and I sold 2 apartment complexes, closed at Kensington Vanguard, by the way.
Zach Montana's deals.
That's right.
Yeah.
The off-market deals, we found them, you know, $120 million between the 2 of them. And Zach made a comment to me after we did the first one. It was a very nice compliment. He said, your underwriting was the best I've seen next to mine, which was awesome because it was the first multifamily project of that size that we'd ever underwritten.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's very nice of you to say. He said, no, I mean it. Like,
yeah.
You guys know how to do this. So Brad and I got to talking about that, and well, we should go explore this because these deals were off market.
Yeah.
And we went and started pitching. And it was like the rinse and repeat result. Man, this is really good work. Because these things weren't even on the market. They weren't looking to sell. Really good work. We're intrigued. Man, if we can get that number, that sounds great. 2 meetings later, love you guys, can't hire you. I have to hire a national firm. And we heard it 3 times in a row. Can't hire you, right? I have to hire so-and-so.
Because they're LP or somebody in one of the stakeholders.
One of the stakeholders.
Yeah.
One of them said the lender. You know, it's easy to blame it on the lender. I get it, right?
Couldn't blame the title company in that scenario,
Exactly.
so you had to blame the lender.
Yeah, we find other stuff to blame you for.
Yeah, true.
But what we did with all of them is I said, I understand. I don't like it. I understand, but we'd like to stick with you through this process, and we'd like you to give us feedback on what they did differently that we didn't say we would do or anything, right? 2 of them sold for within 5% of the number we told them it was worth.
Okay.
In both cases, they told them it was going to be 20% higher-ish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of them didn't even sell because the number was so much lower than the expectation that was created.
Right.
And so we walked away from that pissed, but understanding there's just a lot of guys who just can't hire the local guy, even if they think the local guy's the right guy.
Yeah.
And so when SVN started recruiting us, that kept popping in my head.
Yeah.
Right. And so
National reach,
national branding, you know, 210 offices in the country, 2,000 plus brokers. And what was so intriguing is that, you know, I still own my office, or it owns me.
Right.
We still get to have the culture we want. Nobody tells me how to pay any of that stuff, but we really do nationally operate as one. Centralized marketing, centralized support.
People transferring from Utah into
people find out that we're on board, so they leave Utah and come all the way to Texas just to join us.
Yeah.
But so that's really how it came about. Was I met with them a couple times. I brought Nathan and Brad out to Phoenix. We met, and the culture just felt right.
Right.
It felt really, really good. And so far, it's been a year in March.
Yeah.
And it's been more than I expected in terms of just all the offices, how folks help each other. We just had our national conference in San Antonio.
I was just gonna ask you about that because I knew you'd just gotten back from there. I heard we had a couple award winners or something down there in Before you tell about the award that Chris won, which congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
I think Chris has a cool story on how he ended up
Well, I can tell
here
it
with
too.
us and joining you. So, Chris, how did you get in this crazy commercial real estate world? Even though you're doing farm and ranch today,
Farm and ranch are kind of a little bit of a country boy. Sorry, I'm not dressed like everybody else is, but boots not suits, like I like to say.
You
over
look
here.
good, buddy.
I appreciate it. So I come from the restaurant industry, right?
Yep.
I started at the bottom, made my way all the way to the top. By the time I was 25, I was GM in restaurants, had a little bit of ownership in one of them at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID came and we shut down the restaurant. And I said, I need to get out of this. Like, I hate the restaurant industry.
Isn't that a shame you had to shut down? Because the safest place during COVID was sitting at a restaurant table eating, not standing, but sitting.
With a mask on.
Yeah.
Yeah. While eating.
Yeah, while eating.
While eating.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, it was awesome.
We all got really talented.
Well, then I was blessed. I'm just going through Indeed. I'm like, man, I'm looking for another GM job. And then I see this Denton Country Club. And I go, I wonder what this is, right? Let me check it out. I'm like, I've never been to a country club before. Never been a golfer. Never grew up around it. I played football, did other things. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go work at that country club and I'm going to find a new career. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know who it's going to be with. I don't know how this is going to go, how it's going to play out.
Led there.
But yes.
Yeah.
And I went and I interviewed, and then it was a step down for me because I was used to being GM.
Yeah.
So then I went back to bartending, and I was like, but it's in the men's card room, which,
Fun place to be.
fun place to be, right?
Yeah.
And I got to meet so many nice people and so many good people. And as I went on, I was always listening, right? What this person does, what does everybody do? And then I remember I met a couple of people, and then I met Greg, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the initiative, and I'm just going to go get my real estate license. And then I'm going to start telling people I got my real estate license. And I told Greg one day, and I was like, hey, look, can we just go to lunch? I just want to go to lunch. You tell me, tell me what I should do. I'm not saying hire me. I'm not saying anything, but what advice do you have for me?
Yeah.
Right? What should I do? How should I start in this career path? Which way should I go? And he gave me 3 to 4 hours of his time. And I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
We sat there for what? 3 or 4 hours?
That's so I could eat twice.
That's
why I did that.
But yes, and we sat there, and by the end of it, he was like, you know what? And that was January. Well, I started January 1st, but I think it was 22.
Yeah.
22. Yeah. January 1st, 22. Went to the whiskey event before that. Got to meet everybody.
Yep.
And I was like, this is perfect for me. And then now I'm fortunate enough to go from working at the country club to being a member at the country club.
That's really cool.
Because
playing golf all the time.
Playing bad golf all the time. Watching you hit, birdies while I'm out here. You give me a bogey, I'm happy.
That's a cool story.
That's
a really cool
Yeah.
story. We're all
It
super
worked
proud
out.
to be in.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I love you guys. I love being up there. Greg gave me a chance. It's been awesome. I've loved the path.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed it.
Sounds like the chance was from your bio here. Greg said you're going to sink or swim.
Oh, if you want to hear about that story, let me tell you something real quick.
What does sink or swim mean?
Let me tell you a little story real quick, okay? So I start, and then maybe 2 months in, and this is a career path where I'm sure Hayden knows, Greg knows, everybody knows, it takes a while before you really make it. You really got to go.
It's not instant. Yeah.
You got to go make a name for yourself. You got to go earn the business. You got to get your name out there. You got to get signs, listings, these things.
Yeah.
About 2 months in, somebody who had been there for a while decided to make a career change. And so Greg came up to me and he was like, well, you're about to sink or swim. And he had been there for 6, 7, 8 years, something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And he was basically threw all these lease listings at me and just everything. And then he left me.
Went on vacation.
Figure this out.
And then
I literally, the guy, we love Glenn. I mean, he's still a dear friend.
Right.
He came to me and said, I have this opportunity. It's in a different industry. It feels really right for me. told me about it. I said, you need to take that.
Yeah.
It's perfect for you. And then I thought, what did I just say? I think he had like 16 lease listings, most of which I knew nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, I start Monday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He said, they told me if I want it, I've got to start Monday. I said, well, go get it. And so I would go to Chris and I said, I just handed him all the flyers and I said, now you sink or swim.
Yeah.
And I'm going on vacation. And I left the next day.
And then on top of that, it's like, okay, well, at least I had Brad. Oh, never mind. Brad's having a baby. Brand new, beautiful baby. Brand new, beautiful child. So he's gone. So I'm calling these guys and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm lost. So I just find my way through, sneak back, and
fielding leads,
figured
all
that
those
just-
answered
yeah,
and all that.
making stuff.
He swam is what he did.
That's what I did. And I was sinking. Trust me. But I was making my way up to the top. I was trying to figure it out. And then by the time they got back, I had learned some stuff. And, we went through it, got some stuff done. And here we are today.
Here we are today. And this past national convention, you won some award.
It's
Right?
called the Achievers Award. Greg actually won it also.
Greg and you both won Achiever Awards.
We
How
did.
cool is that?
Well, we were, I didn't think any of us would get anything because we really only had about half a year, so we
Right,
came
yeah,
in
you weren't-
March, and really the only thing that counted was stuff that we put in the title company after.
So you won an award without even a full year of
Barely tried,
of work.
Right. It was like 4 months worth, so it was pretty cool
Yeah.
Yeah,
to be able to do that.
it was
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, most of the old stuff's in Denton County, right?
Primarily.
And I mean, but even though into 22 and the rates started ticking up and everything, we all saw the market slow a little bit. But I'll tell you what, and I mean, we do your business, and y'all didn't slow down too much. If anything, y'all kept pace or grew, because Denton it's blowing and going still.
Yeah, I think it's still the 5 fastest growing counties in the country.
Yeah.
And really in 24, it was largely thanks to Hayden, because we really started pivoting in 23. I've always done, we as a company have always done quite a bit of retail land.
Yeah.
Large land busted into pads and sell off the pieces. But Hayden, brought with him some fantastic relationships in the single family and multifamily world, which nobody was jumping out building multifamily at the time. But in 24, we had quite a year in land, much of which was his relationships he brought with him. And we're pretty heavy now in the single family land development side of it. If it weren't for that, 24 might have been a little rough, but 23 was like 98% of 22, and 24 was just a little bit above 23. So we feel super blessed.
Yeah.
Compared to what I hear from a lot of folks from around the country.
Now, Hayden, did you pick up the multifamily chops when you were in Utah?
Yeah, no, that I've been doing multifamily, single family land and development for 7-8 years now. I've got a philosophy in real estate that you may not necessarily need a place to work or a place to eat, but everyone has to have a place to live.
For sure.
So yeah, in Utah, I did a lot of land. My first deal ever was a land deal.
Was that by accident, or is that something you always wanted to do?
I wouldn't say by accident. I grew up wanting to be in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
One of my grandfathers was very successful in real estate, and I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
It's something that's been tried and true since literally the inception of anything.
Right.
Everyone needs real estate in some form or facet. So always was something I wanted to do. Some other passions of mine blocked me from getting into it as young as I desired.
Yeah.
But in Utah, I did a lot of anything residential, multifamily, on the commercial side, right? Huge master plan communities, selling finished lots, stuff like that.
What do y'all, you mentioned Denton was growing, 4th, 5th fastest in the country. What drives people to Denton more so than maybe Dallas or Collin County?
Well, I mean, I tend to believe that you get the benefits of being close enough to Dallas or Fort Worth to have access to anything you want.
Right.
Obviously more affordable living, but I also think there's something about the laid back feel.
A little slower pace.
A little bit of slower. It certainly doesn't feel slow paced for us, but just in terms of like, in my neighborhood anyway, like we know our neighbors.
Yeah.
We get out and take walks in the neighborhood and we talk to each other. And I don't think that's happening in a lot of your more metropolitan areas today.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And if you want to go to the symphony, you're there in 30 minutes.
For sure. Well, I tell people all the time, I love being in Dallas during the day, but I really like going home and being in Denton County at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Traffic lights and me don't get along very well for whatever reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and to your point, I mean, if you look at like the pandemic, that was such a huge change.
Yeah.
At least in the housing world, what you saw is people were moving to the suburban areas. They wanted more of a rural feel. They didn't want to be next to their neighbors because who knows what their neighbor has or what they're going to do with you.
Yeah.
And then once you start moving to those suburban places, look at like Justin and it's blowing up. And you look at it and it's like, well, it's still only a 25 minute drive to the airport.
Yep.
Once they finish all the expansions, it's a quick,
it'll be even faster.
It's even faster. And so you even look like in large developments for multifamily, well, it's getting placed by like build to rent communities, and people are starting to realize the benefit of space. They don't want too much.
Yeah.
But they're starting to realize, well, hey, if it's the same drive, maybe even the same traffic, but I actually get a yard. I get that. I get to know my neighbors. I actually like my neighbors.
Yeah.
It's
probably safer.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons of that. And it's like, well, if it's the same drive either way, I don't want to have to sacrifice and live. Even, you look in Richardson or something like that. I'd rather live out in McKinney, just a little further out, a little bit more space.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said, pricing's very different. For sure. Well, what do y'all see for 2025? I mean, it's been a funny beginning to the year, and if you watch the news, especially right now, it's a dumpster fire. But from our point of view on the title side, and we're asset agnostic, and kind of Verus is too. Y'all are touching everything. We had a good first quarter. Activity seems to be good. Confidence in the market seems to be pretty good. Even the rates have come down a little bit.
Yeah.
What are y'all's thoughts? Y'all bullish on 25?
I'm bullish on 25. As you said, I think we're pretty fortunate in that by design, when we started the business, I wanted to be geographical, not sector focused.
Right.
And so because we chose in my past life, my past career, I was on airplanes every day. So I wanted to be a part of a community and serve in various ways, serve on city council, learn that I don't ever want to do that again.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did you?
No, never again. But my point in that is because we made the intentional decision that Denton County is where we're going to focus, which now has kind of grown into Wise County, North Tarrant County. But because of that, we had to really make sure we could touch all disciplines.
Yeah.
And so within our shop, and we're different than a lot of people. So just about every project we do is as a team, at least two folks on the team. Because I believe everybody should take a vacation and not get bothered. And then you just end up with a much better result when you have collaboration. And so because we touch, retail leasing, retail investment sales, retail land, industrial leasing, so pretty much across the board. We're not recommending anybody build an office building today.
Sure.
But the point is we touch all the different sectors. And because of that, not to say anybody's recession proof, but, our investment sales, for example, in, 21, 22 were 35, 40% of our business, of our fee revenue.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, 23, it was like 5%. But because we touch all the other sectors, we were able to really crank up, and we honestly moved several of our younger guys that were just focusing solely on land.
Yeah.
And be in support.
That diversification's helped you.
And you can't take a guy who does retail leasing for 10 years and say, okay, well, now you're going to sell land for the next 2 years because that's the only thing moving.
Right.
Doesn't know what he's talking about, right?
Sure.
So I would like to say that we planned for this. I had a guy tell me, by the way, the other day, he predicted COVID.
Oh, yeah.
So, he predicted it. So say like, I'd like to say we planned for this.
Was his name Dr. Fauci?
Well,
He predicted it.
Yeah.
Him and Bill Gates
made a
predicted
trillion.
it. Yeah.
But we're not here on that's a different podcast.
It's a different podcast. Yeah.
No, we're diversified.
We'll get
talk about all
Tucker Carlson, and then we'll talk about those things.
Feel very fortunate in that because we touch all the disciplines. I think that really helped us through those times. Well, now, of course, land is still moving like crazy, and we have several clients. This guy has several that are super bullish.
Yeah.
But we're seeing the retail really start to move again. I'm trying to rename it neighborhood services. Right?
Yeah.
Can't get on Amazon. We want you as a tenant.
Well, sometimes you need things right now,
Yeah.
and somebody's got to fill that gap.
Yeah. Can't get a pizza.
Well, I had one, y'all are going to find this, well, some people find it funny, but my head shaver broke. And after about 2 days, I start looking kind of mangy. And so I needed to buy a new one, and I tried to find one in a store. Impossible. Tried to order one off Amazon. Wasn't going to be there for 2 days. Well, I wasn't going to work. I ended up finding one at Walmart and, drove down and bought one that day. But, it's pretty weird when you're trying to get something and you can't in today's day and age, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's happening a little bit in some of these retail places.
And oddly enough, like when we're, Chris does a ton of this, but like most of us own property.
Yeah.
And, I tell everybody when they start, like, don't ever say, I think like an owner if you're not one.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're telling this guy he should sign this lease, then you need to be able to tell him why, if you own this building, why you would sign this lease. Well, if somebody's in the business of selling something that you can buy on Amazon and it's on your porch when you wake up in the morning, you better have a damn good story of why you're going to tell the landlord to sign this lease.
Yeah.
But when you look at, like all of our strip center clients, and we've built and owned some, not SVN, but some friends of mine and I,
well, my wife's going in one of them that y'all helped.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at the lineups in those, we've been very intentional about the mix, but also if you look at the lineups, it's everything you can't buy online.
Yeah.
It's really neighborhood services.
I agree.
They're providing a service. And so that, I think that, the rents have certainly had to climb.
Yeah.
Because construction costs are what they are.
Well, and they stopped building them for a while because retail was supposed to be dead. Right. And now, we were underserved there for a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I feel the question was, how do we feel about 25? I feel very bullish about it. Obviously, we're somewhat rate dependent. I worry a little bit about entertainment.
Yeah.
Restaurants. Food costs are way high. The hard for them to find labor.
Yeah.
So I worry a little bit about some of those folks. But for our business anyway, with everything that's going on in Denton County, I feel really good about it. And I feel really good about the team that we have.
I agree with you. I think the restaurant business is good, but to your point, it's the labor and finding people. If you have a good chef and good service, you're probably really busy and doing great in the restaurant business. But I'm sure you're glad you're not running restaurants right now. Talk about the ultimate adult daycare. You know.
And in terms of new construction.
The cost.
So you got to be at $50 triple net rents.
Yeah.
You got to sell a lot of burgers to pay that rent.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely true.
Not everybody can be Marty B.
Marty B. Yeah. I'll tell you what. I'm waiting for him to rename Bartonville Marty's.
Martyville.
Yeah, Martyville.
Martyville.
Yeah.
Well, guys, y'all are gonna have to come back. We're out of time. That's how fast that went. But that was really, really good. I really appreciate y'all making the trek down, from way up north, almost in Oklahoma, down here to Dallas. It's not, see, us Denton folk, we will make the trip down here. The Dallas folk, when they go up there, they get nosebleeds, so they won't go that far north.
We like it that way.
Yeah.
These shark infested waters down here. We don't come down here.
We don't do it.
We don't have $2,000 suits and.
Well, the one thing is, it's funny, and I think you kind of touched on it. The Denton brokers that have been around there for a while. There's a few of them like yourself that you kind of touched all parts of real estate and asset classes. Because not everybody has as many options. But you've noticed over the last 10 years, all the big national firms now are hanging signs all over Denton. To your point, that because now that institutional money is in Denton, so that has to be a big help for y'all too, just from that side.
Yeah, and like we understand we're not everything to everybody, nor do we want to be. Yeah, if we think we can add value, we want the gig. If we don't think we can, we're gonna spend. I think our last analysis was we take on a listing, we're gonna spend more than $4,000 just for it to show up. Yeah. So like old cowboy,
make that money count.
Old
right?
cowboy told me one time, I don't need to practice. Like I don't want to practice on listings. We want to take things that we think we line up with the landlord,
right?
Or if we're doing tenant rep or buyer rep or whatever, culturally, do we align? And we're not gonna lie. We're not gonna cheat. We're gonna do what's right and best for whoever we represent. And if it means our fee gets affected in a negative way, so be it. And 22 years into the mission, we're still kicking. So
seems to be working. So if somebody's looking for, land, a building, whatever in Denton, how do they find you? Or if some commercial broker who thinks, hey, that sounds pretty good, I'd like to be a part of that type of culture, how do they find you?
v-re.com.
v-re.com. Everybody should be able to remember that.
Simple as can be.
Awesome. Guys, thank you all very much. Hayden, Chris, Greg.
Thanks for having us.
It was fun having you all on. Absolutely.
Thank you, Zach.
We'll have you all back on. All right. This has been the Working Title Show. We'll see you next time.